Hello everyone, welcome to Split Second. My name is Skada and I'll be taking you through today's match. Before starting, we at Split Second want to thank everyone for your constant support and suggestions on all social media. We also have a giveaway from the LGS where we play at, Arena Porto from Portugal. They were super cool and gave us a DCI promo cryptic command, which we will randomly offer to one of our patrons on March 15. Not only can you help us grow by becoming a patron, but you also have a chance to get this card for free. This week we're celebrating a very special occasion, 2,000 subscribers. To make sure we're celebrating it properly, we're playing with Paradox Engine and banned, and only using commands released after the engine was banned. Our idea is to try to show they could be played with the engine as a part of their strategy. As such, we have me piloting a Syr Carah Storm build, Luis Brandão playing a value/Storm Golos, David playing a combo-oriented Emry, and finally Bal is playing a combo/control Ayara. Let's check our starting hands. This week, David is starting and he has an explosive hand. Scalding Tarn and Mystic Sanctuary with Mana Crypt and Lotus Petal letting him cast a turn 1 Emry while still being able to play either 1000-Year Elixir or either Spell Bomb. He also has the Rings of Brightheart for whenever he finds a combo outlet. Bal had to mulligan down to 6. He has 2 lands, Swamp and Buried Ruin, with a sack outlet and an Aristocrat at the ready, Carrion Feeder and Zulaport Cutthroat. He can also use Cold Steel Heart as ramp and Relentless Dead for recursion if he gets the second black mana. Finally, Bal sent his Pit Keeper to the bottom of his library. My hand is also potentially explosive. I have 3 lands, 2 mountains and a Bloodstained Mire, and a Mana Crypt plus Fire Diamond, which could mean a turn 2 Syr Carah. I have Experimental Frenzy to refill my hand and a Gutter Snipe in case I get a Storm turn going. Luis's hand has no conclusive direction yet. He has Chaos Cradle but no creatures, plus a Taiga and a Bayou. He has Mox Diamond as ramp. Enlightened Tutor could go for several options, and both Frantic Search and 1000-Year Storm work well together if he gets into a multiple spells turn. Time to get this show going. David starts off by terrifying us all. He plays Scalding Tarn and cracks it for an island. Then he casts Mana Crypt and Lotus Petal. He is able to play Emry for just 1 mana, milling Seed of the Synod, an island, a Mishra's Bauble, and an Intuition. Since he has a nice payoff in his graveyard, David also casts 1000-Year Elixir, sacrificing his Lotus Petal. He activates Emry and retrieves the Mishra's Bauble. David cracks the bauble and looks at the top cards of Luis's library, seeing a command tower. After this great turn, he passes. At the beginning of Bal's upkeep, David draws a card from the bauble. Bal then plays a Swamp and casts Carrion Feeder. He passes to me. On my turn, I side glance David. I play a Mountain followed by Mana Crypt and Fire Diamond, hoping I can race. I pass to Luis. Luis plays his command tower and passes. David loses the Crypt roll. He then plays a tapped Mystic Sanctuary, revealing he has no other lands in his hand. He casts an Ethereal Sculptor, furthering our concerns. He follows it by playing Sol Ring and either Spell Bomb. I shed a tear, fully aware I can play Syr Carah against that Spell Bomb. David draws from the Spell Bomb and activates Emry, recasting it from his graveyard. He taps his Sol Ring to activate the Spell Bomb and draw an additional card. He uses the 1 mana floating from the Sol Ring to activate the Elixir and untap Emry. He taps her again, casts the Mishra's Bauble and sacrifices it, targeting Luis once more. He sees the Birds of Paradise before passing. On Bal's upkeep, David is drawing another card. Bal plays a Buried Ruin and attacks me with a Carrion Feeder. On his second main phase, he casts Cold Steel Heart, naming black. He passes. On my upkeep, I win the Crypt roll. I play a Mountain and I cast Gutter Snipe and go to my end step. Luis casts Enlightened Tutor and gets himself an Energy Flux to try and slow David down, even if at the expense of everyone else. Luis plays Bayou. He then casts a Mox Diamond and discards his Cradle. That's a really expensive card to discard. He taps out and casts the Energy Flux before passing. David loses his second Crypt roll in a row. The Energy Flux triggers and he decides to tap his Mana Crypt to save the Elixir and the Sol Ring for itself. All other artifacts are sacrificed. On his first main phase, David activates Emry for Mana Crypt. He casts a Mirrodin Besiege, naming Phyrexian because he has no way of keeping the mirrors in play and wants to dig for a win con. He plays Mox Diamond. He activates the Elixir to untap Emry and casts the Bauble, choosing to see my top card of the library. he sees a Soul Ring. David goes to his end step and the Mirrodin Besiege triggers. He draws a card and discards a Mind Stone. In response to David's card drawing during Baal's upkeep, I cast Red Elemental Blast, a bit unsure of my target. I decide for Emry even if I'm not sure about this choice, since I intended to kill the Energy Flux after it resolved David's board, which it didn't. David then draws a card and Baal sacrifices his Cold Seal Art to the Energy Flux. Baal plays a second Swamp. He casts Reassembling Skeleton. He attacks David, sacrifices the skeleton for the Karen Feeder, and deals 2 damage. He passes to me. On my upkeep, I also lose the Crypt roll. I choose to keep both artifacts, then I play Bloodstained Mire and crack it for a 3rd mountain. I play the Soul Ring David saw and cast an Electrostatic Field. I attack David with my Gutter Snipe and pass the turn. On his upkeep, Luis keeps his Mox Diamond by tapping for 2 mana and plays a Taiga. He passes. David wins his first Crypt roll. He uses the Crypt to pay for the Mox Diamond and the Soul Ring to keep itself, letting everything else go. He then plays a recently drawn Mana Vault, making all of us groan, and casts Emry. We all look at the Mirrodin Besieged as David mills an island, a Brainstorm, another island, and a Force of Negation. He goes to his end step, drawing a card and discarding Rings of Brightheart to his enchantment. He has 9 artifacts in his graveyard. Baal keeps his turn simple. He attacks David and casts Zulaport Cutthroat, passing to me. I win my Crypt roll. Then I use my Mana Crypt to pay for the Fire Diamond and the Soul Ring for itself, letting the Crypt die. I cast Experimental Frenzy, seeing as I only have 1 card in my hand. I play a mountain from the top of my library, looking at it again. I attack David with my Gutter Snipe. Finally, I let Luis go to his turn. Luis pays mana to keep his Mox Diamond and casts Gamble. He gets a Dockside Extortionist and discards Frantic Search. He passes. David uses Mana Vault and Mox Diamond to save the Mox and the Soul Ring. He plays a snow-covered island. He casts Mystic Remora. He then activates Emry to cast the Ether Spellbomb. His idea is to bounce Emry later on. If he does that, he can recast her, and not only is he maybe getting more artifacts for the Mirrodin Besieged, but he's also digging further into his deck. He goes to his end step and the enchantment triggers. He draws and then discards a Ratchet Bomb. Baal plays a 3rd Swamp. He then casts Skull Clamp, triggering the Remora and letting David draw a card. He activates the Reassembling Skeleton, bringing it back to the battlefield, and equips it with the Skull Clamp. The skeleton dies, and Baal draws 2 cards. The Cutthroat triggers when the skeleton dies, and pings us all for 1 damage. Baal ends his turn by attacking David with both creatures. During my upkeep, I use the Fire Diamond and a mountain to pay for the Soul Ring before sacrificing the diamond. I draw a card and I look at the top card of my library and shrug. I cast Syr Carah instead. I attack David with Gutter Snipe a 3rd time and pass. Louis lets his Mox die to the Energy Flux. He casts Carpet of Flowers, triggering the Remora and letting David draw once again. He then casts Golos on his 2nd main phase, getting himself an Ancient Tomb. He goes to his end step and David activates the Spellbomb, targeting his own Emry. On his upkeep, David lets both the Remora and the Mox Diamond go. He casts Emry, looking for those last artifacts to start killing players with the Mirrodin Besieged. He mills an island, Buried Ruin, Pongify, and Polluted Delta. No artifacts. David sighs to himself. He draws, then discards the Thassa's Oracle to the Mirrodin Besieged. Now that it's Baal's turn, Luis asks him if he's finally going to interact with the table. Baal ignores him and pays for the Skull Clamp. He plays a Marsh Flats. Baal casts Viscera here and equips it with the Skull Clamp, drawing 2 and pinging us with the Cutthroat. He responds to the draw trigger by cracking his fetch and getting a Witch's Cottage, recovering his Viscera here to the top of his library. We question it and he says he's concerned about losing a sack outlet permanently. Baal attacks David and recasts the Seer. On my turn, my Soul Ring pays for itself. I draw a card. Because David is pretty low, I want to try and get some spells to remove him before he tries to win. I ping David with Syr Carah and exile a Finale of Promise. I look at the top card of my library and at my graveyard and sigh, watching the deck just ignore my desire to end David. I cast the Finale, finally triggering Gutter Snipe and the Electrostatic Field. David looks at my graveyard, sees a Red Elemental Blast and says nope. He exiles Power Artifact, loses 1 life and casts Force of Will. I attack David with Gutter Snipe and go to my end step and tell Luis that if he can get rid of my Experimental Frenzy, we can still kill David before he gets to his turn. Luis goes to his upkeep and loses 2 lives to the Ancient Tomb in order to keep the Golos. He activates the Carpet of Flowers and casts Syr the Enchanter. I tell him he should have activated Golos and looked for a way to remove my enchantment. Luis attacks David, leaving him dangerously low and hoping that David doesn't win the next turn. He knows that if David doesn't win, he can kill me with the Mirrodin Besieged and leave Luis the chance to attack with Syr on the next turn. David uses the Sol Ring to pay for itself. He plays a snow-covered island. Then, he casts Mana Crypt from his graveyard. He casts an Isochron Scepter and exiles a Dramatic Reversal, spelling the end for us. I look at Luis and tell him he was being greedy. David activates the Isochron Scepter and casts Dramatic Reversal, untapping Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, and Emry. This way, David can not only get infinite colorless mana, but he also can cast indefinitely any artifact from his graveyard. David uses Emry to cast either Spell Bomb as often as he needs and draw a card. Eventually, he finds an Aetherflux Reservoir. He plays another spell, gains a ridiculous amount of life, and uses them to kill us all. Thanks for following us through this match, everyone. Mono Blue is destroying our game so far, 3 out of 3. We'd like to start the credits by thanking our current patrons, and especially Izanagi, Carneiro, Troy, Stefan, and TJ Rapp, our stack breakers. We also want to thank Ariana Porto for supporting us with a DCI cryptid command that we will be randomly giving away between our patrons this March 15th. Support us by becoming a patron and a chance to get this card. We will be sending this prize on April 1st. If you want to go through other Commander adventures, click one of the videos on the right. If you want to talk with us about our games or other EDH-related matters, join us on Discord. Come join us again next week for a new set of Commanders and more decisive plays. See you then!